Hello, Pagan Perspective viewers. It's Delia here on your Saturday sub slot this week. On the Pagan Perspective, we are talking about our path. This comes from Wyld Silverwolf asking, I just watched your Finding Wicca video, referencing Kara's Finding Wicca video, and was wondering if it was possible. I liked how you told your story, and I was now wondering if the group could, as a topic, do something similar. Here are some further details. And he gives us, tell us your journey to your path and your path's name and story. Why is your particular path the one you follow? How did you come to know that this path is right for you? Why is your particular deity that you follow the one for you? How did you come to know that he or she, they, were right for you? Was it a long journey to this decision based on the above information just given here? And did you do the year and a day thing? If no, longer, shorter, why? And all of this information will be in a link down below. So number one, tell us your journey. Now I've talked about this simply, I guess I would say, is how it's been put in my videos that I have on my personal channel. And also in the audition video for the Pagan Perspective. But as this is a new topic coming up, it did make me think quite a lot onto what I would actually, have to add to this. And my life started as born into a Mormon family. My mother and father were married in the Oakland Temple, and so I was born under the covenant in the LDS Church, Latter-day Saints, and hated it just because it wasn't so much at such a young age me actually understanding any of the gospel. It was more of the way that we were treated. My family was treated poorly, and just having to get up really early on Sundays and sit for an hour with boring adults talking. And then another 2 hours, so 3 hours altogether. There was the sacrament first, and then we had Sunday school, and then a class. So Sunday school was for all the kids to join together, and then the classes were split up into age groups. So about 12 to 15, I rebelled against wanting to go to church. The worst was fast Sundays. Oh my gosh, it was just horrible. But and then, being a difficult teenager myself, I was a runaway for 2.5 years, living with friends and on the street, and just being out there in the wild, expressing myself the way I felt needed to be expressed at that young age. And then when I got pregnant with my oldest daughter, Jasmine, at 17, I returned back to the Mormon church. And then that's when I really wanted to just know more about it. I didn't understand anything, and I could hardly remember any of the little church stories that I was told in Sunday school, so I didn't get it. I didn't understand any of it. But I did know that there was a strong commitment to family morals, family values, and I did appreciate that part of the religion, that the family was extremely important. And so when I started coming back to church, even though I had been born under the covenant, baptized at 8 years old, I started back again at 18 with the missionary lessons. So that's when the missionaries come to your door, and they have a lesson plan all worked out. Like, if you allow them in to discuss the Mormon church, they will sit down and give you the lesson plans. And so I started with those, and then I started going back, and it wasn't until I received my patriarchal blessing when I was 19 or 20 that things really came into focus for how this wasn't really my path. And because I was a troubled teen. You know, I caused a bunch of crap for my family and my life in general. My life was not considered, because I had a child out of wedlock and I was a single mother, and because I had my troubled past, it was always constantly being used against me by these members of the church, and how they were choosing to judge me. And it was actually, I mean, the patriarchal blessing is supposed to be a very divine and inspired breakdown of your continued future path in the Mormon church. Like what tribe were you born into, how your relationship was with God up in heaven, what your future aspects are, like temple, marriage, and children. And because of my child out of wedlock situation, I believe that the patriarch used that to influence his own personal opinions within my patriarchal blessing. And so for the longest time, I just referred to myself as a free spirit, and never really having an actually defined label for my spirituality was kind of frustrating, because when the missionaries would come to my door, because I'm still on the church registry, I haven't gone and had my name removed from the temple lists, just because it seems like it would be one more upset, one more ridiculous amount of stupidness that I would have to go and do. And plus the missionaries would still come by anyway, even if I was taken off the list, because this is their route. So, but it was just frustrating to not know where I stood spiritually on a defined level. Like, I couldn't just say I'm this and be 100% confident that I'm this. And I don't know why it is something that I felt was a requirement to feel a definite, this is what it is. But yeah, freethinker was the best I could come up with when I was asked. I had even put freethinker down on one of my medical forms when I was got my gallbladder removed, and the doctor got a big kick out of it. He's like, freethinker, I like that, blah, blah, blah. So, and then it was in March of 2012 when I truly decided to sit down and open up that Silver Ravenwolf book to write a silver broomstick that I've had since 1998 sitting in my bookshelf. I bought it just so I could have the color correlations and the candle magic section. And I never even thought once to really look at this book until last year. And that's when I began my year in a day. It was March 4th in 2012. And I did complete, okay, that's the last question, so we will get back to that. And so I started my path heavily based in Wicca. But since the year has progressed and my spirituality has expanded, I am comfortable being a witch, and I am comfortable saying that I am Wiccan. Eclectic Wiccan, because the eclecticism really does encompass so much more. The adoption of different beliefs and ideas and spiritual guides and guidelines that don't need to be followed 100% really do help to fill this bubble of expansion in my path that I'm on now. Why is the particular path the one you follow? I think the best way to explain it is the reason why I feel like following this path of spiritual enlightenment, expansion of the divine, works for me is the feelings and sensation of truth and how things make sense to me. How I'm able to see something, break it down into a logical perspective. And just like Eric said, kind of he needs to be shown the truth and things of that nature. Totally paraphrasing. I know you did not say this word for word, but it made sense to me. I was like, wow, I really feel that way too. And Just to give an example of what I mean, quite recently there was something that was going on last month, and I was like, oh, I'm so concerned, something's got to be done, what are we going to do about this? My husband said there's nothing we can do, and that wasn't enough for me. So I went to my pendulum and I focused on my higher self. What can we do? Nothing can be done. So I drew a card. I got the Four of Swords, and if you look up the Four of Swords, the variation might be different for whatever group you're going to get it from, or what book or whatever. But the gist of the Four of Swords that I drew basically talks about, this is at the point where you are in a recovery stage from a battle, basically, and to focus on yourself. Stop trying to change things. Just focus on yourself and let it be. So I had to have 3 different things, tell me to not do anything. There was nothing I could do. And so after that third time and drawing the tarot that was the Four of Swords, I was like, this is just intense. My husband knew all along. He just has this great inner knowing that I need to be shown the truth. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. It kind of goes with that whole agnostic thing that Eric was talking about, and being able to use even a scientific method to find the truth, that it could still be considered something magical. It's just like the colors of pie. The harmonies of pie create this beautiful, colorful array, and in the center of that colorful array is a star. So, you know, it's still pretty magical to me. And so to me, this particular path rings true to me because I've had examples of truth, not only in this current path, but throughout my life. Praying, things have come true. Things have come true. And it's just a different form of history I choose to follow than the more mainstream Christian, Judeo-Abrahamic religions. Number 3, how did you come to know that this path was right for you? I think those two kind of go together. It just feels right. It feels right, and because my mind is expanding and widening and blowing up and enjoying this path, it really does give me more of a sense of I'm doing the right thing, and I actually feel like I have a pull, a call to like stand up for what I believe in now, when before, being 13, 14 years old and having to sit down for Sunday school and the Mormon church, one of the questions that they were asked was about how the children that were passing with the pull carts with their families from Missouri to find Zion came in contact with, I mean, it was still the law until the 1970s to shoot a Mormon on sight, you know, basically. And it wasn't changed until the 70s in Missouri. So the Mormons had a lot of oppression because of their spiritual beliefs. And still do, but you know, whatever. It's their thing. It's not for me any longer. But we were asked, if you were held at gunpoint and they told you to denounce your faith, would you? And I said yes. And everyone else was like, no, I would die. I would die for this church. And I was like, I wouldn't die for this. I would lie through my fucking teeth to save my family, to save those I loved. But now I understand where people are coming from when they have that type of very strong belief. And I don't know, I think I might die for my beliefs now, if it came down to it. Number 4, why is your particular deity that you follow the one for you? Other than just referring to source and energy and the divine being that of goddess, and how she represents everything to me. She is the one for me. I just feel a very strong connection to that early belief of woman goddess representation from the Paleolithic era, and to me, that representation of the goddess is everything. She is the earth. She is the universe. She's everything. And I do feel, I guess, like maybe people hear that and think, well, then how can you be Wiccan if you're not going to Isis or Artemis or Pan or Diana? And I haven't needed that, I suppose. There are things that have come into synchronicity within my path in the last, this year in 2013, like being able to see the fox, and then noticing that the day I saw the fox was another synchronicity of the fox being written about in my day planner. So I was like, what? You know, I need to find out what these foxes represent, and maybe there is a god or goddess that connects to them. And so far, the only thing I've noticed that represents them strongly with the foxes are a lot of Japanese culture, which is pretty cool because hello, that is a freaking kick-ass culture. Anyway, number 5. How did you come to know that he or she was right for you? I don't know. I guess I just like the idea of feminine essence, but there is no feminine without the masculine. And even when I think of things like my spirit guides and my higher self, I kind of think of it's a he. So there is masculine in there, and not all my spirit guides, like my animal spirits, the mantis and the bat are definitely boys, but the owl is a female. And my higher being spirit guide is my light being is a non-gender, but this being understands that I am still human in a way, so I need to have this, you know, definition of name, gender association, and so this being is okay with me calling. I'm in the process of editing, and I just noticed that it cut out a little something because it got to 20 minutes of recording, and then it like switched to restart recording a brand new section. So okay, and it cut off at where I was saying, and this being understands the gender association, yada yada, and is okay with me calling him or her, it, Sam. And Sam is a unisex name. It could be referred to as a male name or a female name. Sam also is the number 6 in the numerological breakdown, and 6 is a very nurturing, mothering, loving, defender type of thing. So it kind of encompasses a bunch of feminine and masculine, and yeah, so there's that. And that's new, by the way. Sam is new to me. I allowed myself to be open to the idea that maybe it's not just about waiting for something to come along, because they're already there anyway. And if I wait for it to come along and I don't even stop to ask if it's there already, I'm never even going to know. So was it a long journey to this decision based on the above? No. Yeah, I guess it was, because like I said, I've had that book since 1998. And then for the longest time, I didn't know what to call myself as far as a religious type of background or a spiritual background, because, I mean, it doesn't come up in everyday conversation, but it does come up. People do talk about politics and music and, you know, county problems and stuff. So, you know, it does come up. Religion does come up in topic. But not knowing when it does come up what to say is a little daunting or frustrating. I didn't know what to say. So, yeah, I guess it was it took long enough, you know. I was 34, and so I was like, what the heck? It's time. And yes, I did do a year and a day. And I completed my year and a day this March 5th, 2013. And since I didn't understand completely what dedication meant at the beginning of the year and a day, I just did a little thing promising to myself that I would complete a year and a day. But it wasn't like a full-on dedication. So what I feel being that a dedication to this practice is something very special and all-encompassing. Your understanding that, you know, I love this so much, and I understand things are going to change, because even though I started heavily in Wicca, things have changed, and I don't even know if I can consider myself 100% Wicca, because things have changed so much. But the whole concept of gaining more knowledge and gaining more understanding of my path, I need to remember that at this point, I am okay with being an eclectic Wiccan. And solitary, but not so solitary. I'm not in a coven, but I have started a circle group. So things have definitely changed. And eventually I will find that one label, that one definition that just categorizes it all. But for right now, if I was to be asked, I would say I am heavily based on the Wiccan eclectic path, but it is expanded to such a vast, you know, spiritual, enlightened expression that I don't even know what to categorize it as now, which, you know, kind of brings me back full circle to the whole, oh, I don't know, I guess I'm just a free spirit. And with a year and a day, it also just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of cemented everything into reality. I don't think that there has gone a day since I began my path that I have not thought about the divine, or I have not thought or felt within myself the warmth and desire to know and understand, and that I understand myself where all of this comes from, and how my own vibrational energies are increasing. So it, yeah, it feels good. It feels good. So I hope that that was interesting and enlightening, and it kept you entertained for, I don't know, we'll see, over 20 minutes. There's some editing that needs to be done, but all of you have a blessed day and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Much love. Peace.